Hi guys, it's Wade McMaster here. Got a video for you today. I'm going to be going through the best design practices for your blog or website so that way your website is effective and converting visitors. Now the whole idea of this video is just to sort of go through these tips so that way you can sort of apply them to your site or just think about what it is you're currently doing with your blog and just to give you an idea so that way people are able to more effectively interact with your website. You're more likely to get things like email subscriptions. You're more likely to make sales, whatever it is. These are just some basic fundamentals for your blog design that a lot of people overlook. Now, if you're missing one of these, it's very important you watch the video because it's just a lot of this stuff is basic, but if ignored, it can be quite detrimental to your progress. So let's get into it. Now, my first tip is going to help you to deliver that content to your visitors quick and easy, because when people land on your website, they do not want to get lost trying to find what it is that they're looking for. You want to be able to offer it is what they're looking for straight away. So that first tip is to keep your content above the fold. So you're probably wondering what that means. The fold is it's actually a terminology not used originally for websites, but the idea is wherever the bottom of your screen is or wherever the user screen is, you want to make sure that when someone lands, the information they're looking for starts above that. So basically, you want the information to be on the screen when they land. If you start popping all sorts of banners and other items and everything right up above your text, you've got like a navigation, but adding other bits and pieces in there is actually going to make the content hard to find. And a lot of people are very their attention span's nice and short. If they land, if they don't see what they want straight away, sometimes they're just going to leave. So you want to make sure when they land, your content is right there. People know this is exactly what I'm looking for. It's right there. It's easy to find, and they're more likely to read it. So keeping your content above the fold on the screen when they land is a very important part of any content or blogging strategy. Definitely do not ignore that one. The second tip is actually have a purpose or a call to action, because if you're getting people onto your website, you've got excellent content, but you've got no follow-up action for them to take, then they're going to absorb your content, they're going to read it, but they're going to leave because there's nothing else for them to do. So come up with a major call to action. If it's to make a sale and you want to make sure that maybe at the end of your post you're putting there, don't forget to buy my course on how to do this or that, or you want to make sure you're actually following up, so at the end of your content or maybe on your sidebar if you're on desktop and throughout various attention areas on your website, that you're actually getting them to do something. Now it can be make a sale, or it can be a bit more effective is actually get them onto your email list. That way you can sort of keep sending emails to them, but you want to come up with some kind of solution, some kind of like step-by-step funnel where they're going, okay, the visitor's landing on my website, now I want them to subscribe to an email. So maybe you have your content and down the bottom you offer some kind of freebie that's related to the content in exchange for them to sign up to an email, or you offer a solution for sale at the bottom, whatever it is. Have a purpose to your website, purpose to your content, send your visitors somewhere that you want them to go when they're done reading it. The third tip is actually to make sure your website loads quickly. So you want it to load in under 3 seconds, generally speaking, because if someone has to wait a long time for your page to load, there's a higher chance they're just going to hit the back button and bounce. So make sure that your website loads quickly, because that way people, if you follow the first tip of having things above the fold, when they click on your website, within 3 seconds, the information is landed right in front of them and they can get what they want, and then that's when you can start to make your moves in trying to get them to follow that call to action in the second tip. So making sure that your site loads quickly is important. So try to make sure you declutter a lot of heavy, like maybe you got large images, optimize those images. If you've got a lot of widgets and iframes on there, like maybe you've got a Facebook widget with all your likes and you've got a Twitter widget, you really want to minimize these things. I do have a post below that goes through all the steps you can do to speed up your website. I'll pop that link into the description below, but it's definitely worth doing speed tests. Head over to tools.pingdom.com, type in your website, do your speed test, see how it's loading, and if it's too slow, work on speeding it up with the tips I share in that post. The next tip is to make your brand recognizable. If you don't have a recognizable brand, then when people land, you just come off as a generic document on the internet. So on my website, I've got my logo right at the top, and I've got my colors are very strong, which is like a very grayscale design. Whatever you do, you want to make sure that you have a good solid logo that stands out. You want to make sure your branding colors are strong, so when people land, there's a bit of a personality to the look of your site as well as the content. So branding it in a strong way enables people to sort of recognize you, and if they do a search at another date and land on the same website, they're going to think, oh, this is that same website I was on the other day. So being able to brand and have, you know, your logo, having all your strong branding there helps you to become recognizable, which builds trust. And that will then lead to a higher likelihood of people subscribing or buying from you. So strong branding, consistent branding throughout your website, very, very powerful. Now, talking about people trusting you, you want to add some trust elements to your site. Now, I've already mentioned a clean design with strong branding. What you also want to do is just make things transparent. If you've got, 100,000 followers on Instagram, put that somewhere. If you've got testimonials from people, put that somewhere. If there's a photo of you, you can put somewhere throughout the website so when people land, they can see who you are. You take away that barrier. There's this major barrier where when people land on a website, if you can't sort of see the person behind it, you can't see what people that are trusting in it, then it becomes a little bit of become a bit cautious. So what you want to do is make yourself as transparent as possible. Try to make that website a reflection of you, so when people land, they see you, they don't see the website. So having a photo of yourself on there, having testimonials, having things, people saying positive things, having your social media following. If you've got large numbers, pop those numbers up there so you get some social proof. Do anything you can to make sure that you come across as trustworthy, because then people don't have that fear of subscribing or buying from you. They're going to realize that you're an authentic, trustworthy website that they can interact with and not have any fear of being sort of hacked or downloading a virus or losing any money because the credit card details are stolen or something. So make sure you have your website clean, branded consistently, get photos of yourself on there, become trustworthy, get those trust elements on your website. Now, if you do want more information about that, I am working on a video for that as well. It hasn't come out yet at the time of recording this, so just hit subscribe if you want that video, and I'll make sure I get it to you in the near future. And another tip is to make sure you have clear text formatting. Now, this doesn't mean just simply making your text clear. It means actually formatting it in a way that's easy to read. So one of the things I do is I never make my body text any lower than 16 points. Make sure the text is large enough to be read on all devices. Any lower than that, it can start to get a bit small. Make sure you have black text on a white background if you're really talking about a body of text. And the other thing is, try not to have too many large bodies of text, because they do kind of repel people a bit. They can be too intimidating to read, or maybe people just don't have the energy to read them. Break things up into small lines. Make sure you get subheadings, make things scannable, because even though you want to have a long article for your search engine optimization a lot of the time, making it scannable means that the people who don't want to read the whole thing can find the information they want by scrolling down, clicking on it, and going from there. So break up your text, separate it, make some lines bold, italic, make sure you get it in a very visually separated so it's easy to just simply bounce back and forth between, easy to read and not get lost in. Another good tip just to make sure people are reading your content. So my next tip is to have an easy to find navigation. Now, you don't just want it to be easy to find, but you do want to optimize it a little bit. So you want that navigation to be up the top. You don't want it to be competing with anything. You want maybe a logo, navigation. That's sort of like the general sort of formula that people are used to. So being able to have that navigation easy to find at the top of your page is definitely something I recommend. The other thing too is to use keywords on your pages. So you might have a home and about us page, but you also, say someone lands on your website and they want to learn how to grow their website traffic. If you put something else up there saying affiliate marketing tips or something like that, then people might land not even realizing that you have tips for affiliate marketing, see that in your navigation and go, oh, that's pretty awesome, I'm going to go check that out. But the problem with that is you don't want to overdo it. You want to make sure you've only got a handful of items in your navigation. If you have a navigation that stretches the whole width of the page, people are going to be just too intimidated to look at it. You want to make sure you keep it maybe 5, 6 or 7 items and make it so it's not too intimidating. You want to just have a few items there. Too many options will just confuse people. So easy to find navigation, have a few items, try and get some of those keywords in there to make sure that people are finding what it is they're after in that navigation as well, and they'll be more likely to investigate your site further after they land. Another one is to have social sharing buttons, particularly in blog posts. Now, you can either have a sidebar with some social sharing buttons, or what I like to do is even just have text links within my content, things like that. Social sharing buttons are a powerful way, because as people are going through your content reading, if they like it and then you're prompting them to share, then you're more likely to get that share because you're actually pleasing them and giving them good value. So by actually prompting people to share and giving them the convenience of just, hey, click this button and you can share it that easily, it'll be much easier than trying to go, go to your Facebook and share this, because then they're having to leave, go off platform, that sort of thing. A button just makes it simple. It's a shortcuts, it makes it easier, and the fact that you're prompting them makes them more likely to want to share it. So putting social share buttons onto your content is a great way to get your stuff out there in a more viral fashion. So get some social media. If you want, I've got some links below in the description. I'll show you how to do that, and that way you can go from there. Another tip, a super basic one, I won't go deep into this one, but make sure your design is responsive. I'm a web designer and I still see websites that do not work on mobile, which is insane because most websites, more than half the traffic is on mobile these days. There's also another big chunk that's on tablet. So before you even get to a PC, it's going to be far less than half of the traffic on your site, generally speaking. So make sure your website can be viewed across all devices. I don't even have to go into that tip, you just need to make sure that's the case. That's just the standard these days. Just make sure your website's responsive. Another tip is to grow your email list by making sure you have opt-in forms on your website, on your content. You want to make sure that you're putting those in as many places as you can without being in the way of your content. So maybe at the bottom of your content, sidebar, you can even have subscribe, or maybe a free tips ebook or something in your navigation, which leads to an opt-in form in exchange for that book. Trying to get email opt-ins throughout your website is going to lead to people more likely to subscribe. Now, another thing you can do is you don't actually have to have a full form, but even just if you've got content, maybe it's about, how to lose weight, how to lose body fat, maybe halfway through your content you have cover some aggressive tips on losing body fat in my free ebook here. They click on that and they get taken to that form with the opt-in in exchange for the book. So there's a few different ways. Get that email opt-in form on your website in as many places, like maybe 2 or 3 places on a page. Link to that freebie you're going to offer in exchange, like a lead magnet, and you're going to probably get more email subscribers. You're going to be more likely to get more email subscribers if you start doing that. So get those email opt-in forms on your website. Now, my final tip is just function. Now, that's a pretty broad term, but whatever it is you're trying to do, just make sure it works. If you're trying to offer information, make sure the information's there, make sure you can read it. Just take a step back and make sure everything works the way it should. You can even get people to test the website for you. You can ask friends or people you know who may be interested. Just go, hey, check out my website, let me know if there's any issues with it, and let them know it's for the purpose of finding the errors. So if they have anything, let them just be as brutally honest as possible and make sure things are functioning the way you want to. Make sure that when you add an email opt-in form that it actually works. Make sure that your links, they're not broken. You click on a link in your navigation, it actually lands on the page you want it to. Make sure everything works, because if it doesn't work, then you're basically wasting your time. So make sure everything on your website works. Make sure it functions, and that way you're not wasting your time when people land and their website's just not working. So test everything. Make sure it works. That's my final tip for you today, and that's pretty much it. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. If you want more tips like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. Otherwise, if you've got any other tips you want to share, or any one of these tips in particular really you want to learn more about, please leave a comment below and we can work on doing a video on those tips, or maybe even just helping people out by having those tips there, so that way you can help anyone who finds this video find the information they need. So thanks for watching the video, and I hope to talk to you again soon. See ya.